Yeah, got you.
All right, awesome. Do you still have the slides from like normally, like, because I'm not a presenter, so can you pull up the slides I wrote for?
Oh yeah, let me set him as Mark, right?
Yeah, Mark. Rob, yeah.
Let me set him as a presenter.
But also, do you have the slides that we usually show like every month?
Hold on.
If not, I'll just talk.
I don't know why I can make him presenter. Hold on. I just upgraded to Monterrey, and like a lot of stuff is like in a different place.
Oh man.
Yeah, I waited to finally, you know. Hold on, I'm just trying to get multiple. Mike, can you try to share something?
Yeah, it says host disabled screen sharing.
May want to stop the recording.
Let's try now.
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
We don't see it yet, but
No, I haven't shared anything. Do you need me to share?
you can. Okay? Hold on. Let me see if I can. I'm sorry, guys. This is what happens when you upgrade.
Sorry, technical issues.
Yeah.
What technical issues at a technical meeting?
Yep.
Let me show up our page, and
We have to call IT, by the way.
right.
And then what they're gonna say is like, have you turned on your?
You see it?
your
Okay.
on and on?
All right, let's turn it off and on again.
Yeah. All right. So I'll start with the meeting this time. So
Please.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Are you recording or no?
I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I thank you guys for joining this month. We as you probably know, we announced it a few months ago, and you know we try to communicate it every time for the new members or new you know, people who never make it, you know, didn't make it previously but are coming back. You know, we Pacific Hackers, you know, we always been a meetup and a conference, but also we decided to start a nonprofit. So you know, we start with Pacific Hackers Association. So now we're a 501c3 nonprofit charity, and you know, what we're trying to do is basically what we've been doing for the last 5 years. You know, trying to help people to get into the cybersecurity community, but you know, we're emphasizing and we're focusing on veterans and underrepresented communities to get in, you know, into here. So far, you know, we started this in August. We've been doing some beta testing with some members. You know, they successfully well, I don't want to say graduated because we're not a school or anything like that, but we basically they went through our program. They found jobs in the field. Now I remember exactly where they work, if they work in Intel or Amazon, and another pen testing company. But regardless, you know, we help them to get to that point, and that's how we measure success. You know, until you get a job in the field, that's how we're measuring success. And obviously we cannot do it without you, right? So whether it's money, time, you know, doing presentation, you know, coaching others, you know, if you feel like you have, you want to contribute to us, you know, please let us know. We'll let you know what are the next steps. Here's the website, pacifichackers.org. We're still working on the website, but you know, we have a home and about page and a donate button on the upper right corner. And well, today we have a presenter from the future, which I'm happy to say that, you know, besides being from the future, he's also a teammate. You know, we work in the same team at Fortinet, and he's one of the smartest guys I ever worked with. And he's very knowledgeable, and you know, not just that, but he also knows how to explain technology and you know, things. So that's why I reach out to him and say, you know, you gotta give a presentation to us because you are the man. So with that further saying, I'm gonna present Mark Robert Robson, and the floor is yours, Mark. Go ahead and start presenting.
Cheers, Marco. I'll just chuck my video on so I'm not just a black screen for everyone. It's nice to not see you all, but it's nice to be here with all you guys. Let me just get this sharing. All right, you guys got it?
Not yet, maybe, oh, here it is. Okay, yep.
Okay, sweet. All right, so today I'm going to go over the threat hunting process and how you can use it to facilitate the indicator lifecycle. So when I was putting together this presentation, it was based off one that I gave internally to the MDR team earlier this year, just talking about kind of demystifying some elements of the threat hunting process and mapping it back to kind of the roots in the indicator lifecycle, which I would consider as kind of some base theory to do with how we do our job and how we process threat intelligence. Before we get into that, just thought I'd introduce myself. So I work, as Marco said, I work with the FortiGuard responder team, so the managed detection and response team. So we monitor, the EDR endpoints that we have all over the world, trying to stop any activity in customer environments, and that gives us good visibility, I guess, at the coal face of emerging threats, because we have a pretty good subsection of different industries as well as different regions. So yeah, it's an awesome opportunity, and we get to apply some of this knowledge that I'm going to talk about today. My background is earlier this year, at the start of this year, I left the military. So I spent 10 years in there doing electrical engineering and then cybersecurity related stuff. So my background's in incident response, vulnerability assessment, threat assessment, and then threat hunting. All right. For this presentation, stop me at any time, just jump in. I don't have to chat up because I'm in present mode, but just yell out and I can stop and clarify any of the points. This topic obviously is quite complicated when you link all the pieces together. So I've tried to carve out a section. I wasn't really sure of levels of implied knowledge. So if you do have a question, stop me and I can fill you in on some of the terms. All right, so today, this is what we're going to go over. So I'm going to introduce the indicator lifecycle, what it is. Then we're going to go over threat hunting definitions, try to cut through some of that marketing stuff about what threat hunting is, and then map that across the indicator lifecycle. When I say map, I'll show you how threat hunting is really an extension of enabling the indicator lifecycle, and also how it can better facilitate that. Then we'll go through some takeaways, and then I'll questions at the end if you guys don't want to interrupt me. All right, so the concept was originally introduced by Lockheed Martin alongside the cyber kill chain in a really long titled document called Intelligence-Driven Computer Network Defense, informed by analysis of adversary campaigns and intrusion kill chains. So back in 2011, Lockheed Martin introduced that, and it's really formed the basis of a lot of concepts that we apply from at least the defender perspective to do our job better. All right, so it introduced the kill chain, it introduced the indicator lifecycle, and it introduced something called defender courses of action, which I think we'll go over soon. Now, focusing on the indicator lifecycle, it defines 3 states and also the requirements for the transition of the states. So the indicator lifecycle starts with threat or indicators or threat intelligence being reported, right? So what that looks like is an organization might subscribe to an Intel feed that reports revealed indicators. So these are indicators that are known, and we expect that the reporting will map those and provide the context in which they were detected. The next step is that a SOC team will leverage those indicators by incorporating them into discovery and detection cores, making them matured. All right, so that's where we understand it. So this is really when you take something from external and then you mature it in the context of your own organization. The next step, the next part of the process, I guess, is to discover those. So organizations discover indicators while executing discovery and detection colors, making them utilized. So this is where we might perform deliberate activities to try to identify those indicators inside our environment. And then the next step is the analyze step. So this is where the organization will analyze those to reveal additional indicators associated with the intrusion. So this is pivoting, and this is, for me, the interesting part of our job, which is where we find kind of the breadcrumbs from known indicators, and then we use those to identify more. So the loop really occurs there, moving from the analysis to the leverage. So as we find those new indicators, they basically form the report function and they become revealed, and then the cycle continues. So as an example, what that might look like with some practical IOCs, you receive a threat feed, right? Your team might pull out some indicators. So these are some ones from REOC indicators from earlier in the year. So we got some IPs there and we got some domains. All right, so these, at this stage, the indicators are revealed. All right, so then we can leverage those. So to do that, we might do something like configure the border firewalls to block the IPs, sinkhole domains at the endpoints, or through your DNS server. We also might build some detections inside our SIEM that will alert us when those IPs pop up, or we see any comms to or from those IPs. Now, to discover those SIEM alerts that connections from the endpoints have been detected and blocked, the IT team might isolate the host and then re-image that affected endpoint. So then we would move up and down the kill chain based off that initial reporting to determine what indicators we might have missed and whether there's anything else that we can start adding to our set of detected IOCs so that we can continue to be effective against that particular threat. Now, from our experience, Marco probably has some examples of this as well. This is what we often see from customers. So that feed will come in, they'll put the blocks in place, or they'll put their detections in place. The SIEM will alert it. So for example, in this one, we might start to see that the SIEM alerted on a communication to a malicious domain, right? So in this case, cashcow.ai. That was blocked. The IT team identify the host and then re-image. Then we usually see the team mark that as job done. All right, so they'll isolate the host, they'll re-image it, and then that's it. So the failure to perform the analysis is there. Now, what that means in this particular instance, all right, is we had a set of IPs that were provided. All right, those IPs actually mapped to the initial exploitation that REOC conducts, okay? And the domains mapped to C2 following the implant being successfully delivered and executed in the environment. So we detected and mitigated here, but the customer in this instance failed to identify that they'd already been compromised. And so because they didn't do that analysis step, they weren't able to determine that there is obviously a vulnerability that the adversary can move to gain access to the environment. And it's likely coincidental that they were unlucky that they were able to block the activity, at the C2 stage, that they had some indicators for the C2 stage. So really, positive hits on a known atomic IOCs should be analyzed in the context of full intrusion. And that's super important. Now, I know that this might sound super obvious, but we see time and time again that this doesn't get done. So Marco and the rest of the team will be sending out notifications to a customer, usually the larger customers, saying we've identified this activity in your environment. This is indicative of this actor. You should look here, here, and here. And often we'll hear nothing back, or we'll just see the endpoint drop off and then come back on a day or two later. All right, we don't get a follow-up, or they'll message back and say, don't worry, we've already re-imaged that host. All right, so it's a failure to do that initial access. I'll come back to what that means shortly. So why is this so hard? Why are we not able to facilitate this? It really starts with the reporting stage, all right? So threat intel is not filtered for relevance. Okay, so that results in a huge volume of indicators coming through that's difficult to process at a high level and ingest properly and properly understand what those indicators mean. Secondly, reporting often removes context. Now, this is probably a really key takeaway, and we'll get to that in the leverage section shortly. Context makes the data structures difficult to manage and understand. So, you know, we might have seen a MISP instance stood up, which does give you some of that additional context, but that's not all used, and it's often difficult to make those data structures readable for us as analysts and also readable for automated tools or you know, the applications that we're using to process that data. So what this starts to become is an IOC lifecycle, not a detailed indicator lifecycle, right? With that additional context. Also, the usability or problem with reporting is the usability window keeps getting smaller, right? At the moment, adversaries, I guess, with the move towards, you know, cloud-based offerings like, you know, Azure and, you know, Google Cloud and stuff, adversaries are able to turn over those atomic indicators quite quickly, which means that the effective window that those IOCs have gets smaller and smaller. So the leverage section is hard because Defender cores typically leverage atomic indicators, not the context, all right? So we block an IP address or we delete a file with a certain file hash, or we prevent it from executing with our EDR or our AV, something like that, all right? Those tools don't actively ingest the context of an indicator, okay? Unless they're designed in that particular way, it's not really relevant at this stage. Because of that, it normally gets stripped out. Also, leverage is technically difficult. Okay, so it requires working knowledge of all the limitations of our tool coverage, as well as a strong understanding of the adversary TTPs. So that's when I talk about leveraging the context itself. So discovery obviously is, in my opinion, the easiest portion of it when we use our tools correctly. So I'm not going to focus on why that's difficult. But the analysis stage is hard because of the reasons we previously talked about with reporting and leverage. In most cases, the context of the indicator has been stripped, making quick analysis difficult. All right, so what we need to do is, if we identify a hit on an IOC, we need to go back. We need to identify what was the original reporting, where that came from. All right, what did that reporting say? Where does this particular IOC map to in the kill chain? All right, what are we missing? All right, so that is kind of where we break the chain of being able to automate using standard tools. Analysis is time consuming without that context, like I said, and very difficult to scale. One of the biggest problems that we deal with from the customer perspective is it's hard to justify the investigations when in the resource limited environment. So those of you that are working in, you know, SOCs at the moment will understand that we're all really busy. And so often we get this, you know, idea that we stopped the attack. What's the big deal? Why do we need to keep focusing? Yeah, sure, we might have missed some indicators early on, but we stopped it. So what's the problem? So symptoms of failure, I guess. I'll go through each of the sections and have a think about, if you guys are working in blue teams around there, you know, around the US, see if any of these symptoms, you see them in your environment, and you can probably track these back to a failure at one stage of the indicator lifecycle. So one of the symptoms of failure for leverage is the failure to mature the IOCs. All right, so you might see incidents occur with known indicators only revealed during IR engagements. So you aren't detecting these as they happen. You're behind the 8 ball, all right? Ineffective storage and processing throughput. So in this particular instance, what we're talking about here is you have too many IOCs that you're looking for, which results in you constantly having to purchase more storage in your seam, all right? More compute because it's slowed down because it's checking for 50,000 IPs. Most of them aren't relevant anymore, all right? Pointless, irrelevant IOCs. So symptoms of failure of the discovery stage is delayed discovery or no detection. All right, pretty straightforward. And then failure to analyze, typically we see, like I talked about with our customers, we would see repeated intrusions. And repeated intrusions that when you do the analysis of the incident, it could be tracked back to the same root cause. So if we go back to, here, what we usually see there is that the adversary continues to use these same initial access methods, these same exploitation methods, same delivery methods, but we're only blocking here at actions on target or C2. All right, that's a result of failure to analyze. So what does this have to do with the indicator? What does this have to do with threat hunting? All right, before we jump into that, I'll just go through some quick definitions. Now, I'm not interested here in defining what threat hunting is. I'm sure that you guys have all seen it before or heard it around the traps, the term used. So I've just taken 3 offline, 3 from, various vendors, and we can start to see some commonalities in there. All right, so in this one, we've got proactively and iteratively searching, advanced threats, and evade existing security solutions. In this one here, we're seeing similar terms used, some key elements inside there, and this one here as well. So taking those key points out, all right, proactive. So proactive should be considered relative to the adversary's actions on objectives. So going back to the kill chain, right? What does proactive mean? Okay, we can't really see into the future. As much as me being ahead of you in a time zone means like, we can't look that far ahead. All right. So proactive refers to before the adversary gets done what they intended to do in your environment. So detecting them early in the kill chain. When we're performing threat hunting, there's always a defined threat. So it's a discrete activity and we're looking for something in particular. We don't just do a threat hunt that says we're looking for bad stuff, okay? That's not a very targeted approach and it's typically going to result in a waste of time. The last one is, somewhat controversial, but we aren't using atomic IOCs, at least as the basis for our threat hunt. All right. As you can see from those definitions, we're looking at things that haven't been detected through existing solutions. Okay. If we are automating the ingestion of threat intel feeds, we're looking at those atomic indicators, right? We should be detecting all of the known stuff. Threat hunting should be looking for the unknown. All right. So with this threat hunting, which I'll go through a couple of steps that you can use as kind of a high level practical way of doing it. This is the link, all right? So what we aim to do is build a model of what an intrusion by a particular threat would look like in our environment. We use this model to identify where to look for indicators. But when we talk about indicators, instead of focusing on the atomic indicators, we will focus on the TTPs and behaviors associated with relevant threats. So kind of think of it as previously the issue that we were having with the indicator lifecycle, as I talked about earlier, was we were removing the context from those indicators, which meant when we got to the final step, once they were utilized, it was difficult for us to track back. So the way around that is only focusing on the context, and you make the context your indicators, okay? Which means that at the end, the next step is easier. Doing that analysis is easier, all right? So to do that, threat intelligence should identify the threats that are relevant to our environment. So that means instead of when we're looking at, like, say, a blog online, and you might see a threat and you might go, is this relevant to me? the temptation can be to jump straight to the IOC section at the bottom, chuck those into your firewall, make sure they're in your feed, and then tick the box saying we're good to go. What we're trying to do here is, instead of looking at that section, which is still important, don't want to downplay the importance of that, we want to look instead at what's in the content of the article to understand the behaviors and how they might exhibit themselves in our environment, okay? And then use that to identify atomic indicators that are relevant to us, that are relevant to the specific environment that we're defending, all right? Because if we do that, we can find those indicators that we care about without having to filter and without having to go back to work out the context from previous reporting. So I guess that the second last point there is, using the resources we have in our environment, we need to plan, defend, COAs to identify and mitigate expected TTPs as we see them. So this is front loading ourselves with the tools that we need to be able to take action on atomic indicators that we find. Okay. Now, here, like I said, we're focusing on the context, all right, to streamline the analysis. And then because of that work that we did early in planning for this threat hunt, we can fast track those indicators all the way around to be utilized as quickly as possible. So really what we're facilitating here is, by focusing on the context, is we're preparing ourselves to fast track this analysis and then inject those atomic ISCs back into the process here. So if we kind of flatten the old indicator lifecycle and then fit it to a more generic approach to threat hunting, we'll get something that looks like this. So there's 4 steps, which I'll go through now, which we can do to practically get after this TTP-based threat hunting. Okay, so firstly, we develop an applicable TTP list. So we take our relevant threats, we have a look at them, we work out what TTPs are applicable, all right, and then we collate those, map those to a MITRE ATT&CK framework or something similar, to make sure that we have full kill chain coverage. Then we'll develop those TTPs. So then we'll develop indicators. So there's technical indicators associated with each of those TTPs, and then add that to our list. All right, that's moving those indicators and leveraging them to, I guess, better understand what they actually mean from our threat intel reporting. Next thing that we do is we mature those TTP indicators by developing an implementation plan. So this is how we're going to use these. So how we're going to detect those TTPs in the context of the tools that we have available to us in our specific environment. All right, so kind of a transition point here is that this is theoretical. Okay, this is all to do with the TTPs and kind of the art of the possible, for want of a better term there. What could we possibly look for to identify that? And then we transition to the practical. It's like, all right, cool. We know what we want to look for. Can we get that? And how do we get that? And then the last part is where we utilize it. Is where we execute the hunt. So we go through our plan. We try to find those TTPs. So going through each of those steps in a bit more detail. So when we're developing this TTP list, it needs to be task driven. All right. So skipping to the bottom points there, we need to understand what our threat hunt is looking for. So we're hunting for evidence of a particular threat actor, right? Are we looking for evidence of a vulnerability being exploited in the context of our environment? Or are we hunting for just a particular TTP? So thinking back to, recent blogs you might read, or I know you guys are heavy red teamers. If you guys are developing your own exploits, kind of flipping it on its head and trying to work out how might this look if this was if this was used against me, okay? From that, we take that list of TTPs, map to the MITRE framework. That's my preferred framework to map it to. What are the technical indicators of these? All right, so the last point there that I got on the left there is not bounded by the technical limitations. All right, in here, we just want to be looking at what possibly we could find. What possible technical indicator, what piece of information could I find from that endpoint or from the network traffic that would allow me to identify this activity. The reason why that's so important is because we might not have, in the next step, we might not have the capability to detect that now, but taking note of it here, if we constantly say we can't get this one particular technical artifact that we need to be able to detect this TTP, if we see multiple TTPs that all need that same artifact, what we've identified there is a gap in our tooling, right? And that's something that we internally might want to invest in with potentially a new product, or invest time in making sure that we adapt our tools that we do have to make sure that we can detect that in the future. All right, so the output of this stage, sorry, just going back from the TTP list, back to the TTP list here, is the output is a consolidated list of TTPs that we aim to hunt for in a particular activity, mapped to the kill chain, mapped to a particular threat, all right, that threat being a vulnerability or a TTP or an actual threat actor. The output of the second stage, which is where we're converting those to indicators, is a consolidated list of indicators mapped to those TTPs that we're planning to hunt for, mapped to the kill chain, mapped to the threat. Okay, so this is just a progression of that initial list. I'll go through an example of one of these that we've produced soon. So this is the hardest bit in my opinion. Okay, so this is the bit that as defenders, this is where we should be focusing our effort on. Right, so this is where we convert, the art of the possible that we developed in the TTP indicator list. We work out how we're going to do that with the tools that we have available to us. Now here, you'll see it in the example. I like to break this down into discovery and then detection. Okay, so discovery is looking for historical evidence of a particular TTP, and then detection is making sure that we're able to detect or we're alerted to new activity associated with these TTPs. Okay, so think of discovery as active, so we're going out to look, has this happened before, and detection as passive. So my tool is going to be telling me when this happens again. Okay, so this is like tuning your seam rules, things like that. What rule might we add? If we suspect it's this particular actor, what artifacts are we going to pull deliberately to try to find those indicators? The output of this is that we have a consolidated list of identification, which is that discovery and detection COAs, and also mitigation COAs. So this is something that's kind of an optional component of it, depending on how your team's broken up. But during this stage, what we would also develop is a set of mitigations that combat each TTP. So if we see a phishing email that comes through and we identify it through our discovery, how are we then going to stop this from occurring anymore? Like, how are we going to stop this phishing campaign from being effective in our environment? Which is effectively how we're going to use the atomic indicators that we find. How are we going to apply those to make sure that they can be utilized? And then the interesting bit, the fun bit, which is executing the hunt. Okay, so during this, the questions that we're going to ask ourselves, what atomic indicators are going to be associated with each of these TTP indicators? Sorry, with each detection of each of these TTPs. Right, what can we expect? Do the TTP indicators that we do find, do they align with the relevant threats? So say if we're looking for actor A, right, and actor A uses a kill chain that, it goes, phishing, then the actor comes in, and then installation is potentially they just spin up their malware. They've got a macro that downloads a malicious payload, say Quackbot, for example, sets up persistence. How does that work? And then they access the AD, perform enumeration, dump creds, pull data, right? Are each of those steps that we're seeing, that we're detecting from our indicators, do they align with the actor that we're hunting for now? Or is this something new? Okay, because if it's something new, we might not have an implementation plan on what to do. So potentially go back to the drawing board, work out how we're going to approach that. Switch to more of a traditional IR. Also, as we're executing that hunt, the end goal is not to find cool, interesting stuff. The aim is to mitigate threats in our environment as quickly as possible, before they're able to take actions on target. So if you identify an attack, we don't want to just keep going through the discovery phase. We want to convert that information that we found to mitigations as quickly as possible. All right, and before I keep going, does anybody have any questions on those steps of the process? Okay, sweet. So the outcomes of this overall process are, there's a whole bunch of them, but mapping them across to the indicator lifecycle, we have a list of indicators associated with TTPs employed by identified threats that we've deemed as relevant, and then mapped to kill chain and the threat. So that means these TTP indicators are revealed. We also have a plan for identifying this activity and mitigating it within the context of the defended system. All right, so these are matured indicators. Also, we have an assessment of whether indicators, this is after we've executed the hunt, of whether indicators are present in the environment and what the implications are regarding progression through the kill chain. So if we detect this indicator, that means that the adversary is here. So back to the Ryuk example, if we detect one of these domains, all right, if we detect C2 that looks like this means the adversary is in C2. In our hunt plan, what have we missed? What indicators have we missed? What do we need to go back and look for if it's the same actor? The reason why this is super useful, this entire process, as much as it can be time consuming, is it identifies gaps in our discovery and detection capabilities. So that conversion to the implementation plan lets us identify what are we going to miss, okay, which allows us to prioritize resources and work out, what we might invest in terms of more technology or how we might refocus our efforts. By aligning with the MITRE ATT&CK framework, we can reuse detections for similar threats, right? So obviously, if we have enough threat hunting, plans, and we've gone through this process a number of times, as new actors come in, all they're really doing is we can take indicators that we've already planned for, right, and map those for a new threat hunt activity. Okay, and we'll be tweaking those indicators slightly because there might be a different way that a particular actor uses it, but we can continue to reuse the work that we've done. This process also supports technical attribution beyond simple atomic IOC crossover. So instead of now we just get a detection that says this IP has previously been associated with a real campaign, right? Instead, we can take the detection for that particular indicator, right, and actually do attribution based off, either like the diamond model applied to each step of the kill chain, or we might use it to better inform something like one of the newer models like MICTIC or something like that. All right, we can perform that attribution much easier because we have that context. Cool. All right, so I'll show you what an example looks like of one of these kind of planning activities. All right, this is a draft one that we did, that the team and I did for the Conti playbooks. So I'm sure you guys all saw that when it came out in August. So what we did was we went through those and we mapped all of the TTPs that were inside that to MITRE, right? So there's a lot of them, but we took each step of each of the tactics, or kind of the MITRE equivalent of the kill chain. We got each of those, worked out what stages we had evidence for based off the playbooks. And then we went through and worked out all of the techniques. Okay, so when we're talking about the steps, right? Talking about these steps here, we developed a TTP list. So we decided that the relevant threat for us was Conti at the time. We developed a TTP list that's employed by the actor. Then what we did was, down in this section here, is we developed the indicators and the indicator descriptions. Okay, so what are we actually looking for? Technically, what does that look like? All right, for each of these TTPs. So in this example here, we took this particular TTP. What technical indicators could we find? All right. So looking back across here, that's focused on this area. Then we developed an implementation plan. Obviously in our job, we're focused on using 40 EDR. So what we did was we determined what that indicator might look like in the context of 40 EDR. 40 EDR has telemetry that's divided up into a bunch of chunks, all right? From here, we identified what pieces of telemetry we might want to collect that would allow us, that would show us this technical indicator, okay? Then we developed discovery, like I said, and then detection courses of action for each of these TTPs, okay? And so we went through that, built queries that we would use through the 40 EDR internal SIEM, and worked out how we might start to detect some of these high-level TTPs. Now, we still included, you might see it in here, in some cases, we still included the atomic indicators because they've still got good value, but that wasn't the core component of the threat hunt. All right, we did that because it's easy for us to automate those searches. But yeah, this is how we practically go through the process. Now, these eventually get updated into an internal library that then get applied to a customer's environment, but that's practically an example of how it might look like. We've restricted these to be within the scope of our tools, okay? So discovery, some of that's a bit more vague because it's related to how the IR team would do it. And these ones here are a lot more specific because this is where our team's focus is and we have good access through those detections. Anyway, jumping straight back into this. All right, any questions on that example before I go into the takeaways? Okay, sweet. So key takeaways, if I went through that too fast, would be only using atomic indicators inhibits the analysis through loss of context, which breaks that cycle, okay? That doesn't mean what I'm saying is don't ingest atomic indicators and use those to mitigate activity in your environment. It's easy to implement, but it's incomplete and often it's nuanced, right? There is issues associated with it if that's all you do. Threat hunting allows us to follow the indicator lifecycle by only focusing on the context, which is a required step of that analysis stage, right? With the threat hunting, we look for what we don't know yet. And so we're able to quickly and in a targeted way, identify those atomic indicators to allow us to quickly take action and mitigate observed activity. All right. If you find indicators through your threat hunting, given you're only looking through your environment, they don't need to be filtered. All right. You've got relevant, actionable indicators straight off the bat that you can trust. You know the source of them, and you know that they're going to, give you the ability to take action quickly. With that in mind, the threat hunting process can be time intensive, and it does require you guys to do it in a dedicated way. And often you might not have the resources. But the takeaway point for anybody going forward from this is, even if you are in a small team and you don't have a huge amount of resources to do this in a really deliberate way all the time, when you're reading through those blogs about emerging threats, or you're listening to a brief at a conference or something, instead of just thinking about the quick wins, the quick IOCs, if you're thinking about a campaign that's going on, is start thinking about the TTPs and how they would exhibit themselves in your environment, and focus on building your detections around that. So don't just skip straight to the IOC section at the end. All right, so what's not covered in this presentation? So I haven't gone over Defender colors in depth. I could do that later date if that's something that you guys are interested in. Haven't gone over how to determine relevant threats. Also how to prioritize threats when everything is a relevant threat. We need to be to jump into that a little bit. We need to try to focus on what's relevant to us in terms of our geopolitical region, our industry, and then current campaigns that are ongoing. That'll let us focus on what's really important. Also not covered is how to convince your boss to dedicate time to doing this stuff. I think that this stuff is the most interesting, and develops, like, the process of going through that threat hunting planning gives us the most in-depth understanding of adversary TTPs and improves our ability to do our job. The other thing that's not covered here is how to tell marketing people to stop calling IP checks threat hunting. It's definitely a marketing buzzword, but this is my interpretation of how we would get after hypothesis-driven hunt and combining that with TTP-driven hunt. All right, that's it for my presentation today. Does anybody have any questions on the content we went through? Any comments? Anyone want to dispute the point of view?
What do you think about the saying or the expression, defenders live in standards and frameworks, attackers live in real time with motivation?
I think that the attackers can be much more flexible with their approach to an intrusion. They can flit around between the tools that they apply in their environment or as part of an attack much more easily than defenders can. We're kind of, as defenders, in my opinion, is a slow moving beast because we have to do things at scale. So that is why I think defenders are very focused on frameworks because it's the only way for us to prioritize. We can't be as ad hoc as an attacker might be. That's kind of my 2 cents. So while it can seem a little bit stifling at times to focus on the frameworks, it's the only way for us to get ahead, in my opinion. When you're in a smaller organization, a smaller network, it's much easier. Defenders can be much more free and move away from using things like frameworks, but that doesn't scale. So that's why I think different approaches. Any more questions or comments?
Yeah, a lot of groups tend to follow very much checkbox approach oriented to security, where they're just trying to fill in all the checkboxes. Do any information security standards require threat hunting in this sort of manner?
I don't think that they do. And the reason why I think that is because a lot of the tools that we use, like I covered before, a lot of the tools that we use for defense only take action on the atomic indicators. So the focus is always on the atomic indicator, but really it's kind of cause and effect, and we focus on chasing the effect rather than the cause. We're always gonna, be reactive. But yeah, to answer your question more directly, no, I don't think it is because it's difficult, or has previously been difficult, to action the context and perform this deliberate threat hunting activities. So yeah, it's still a very manual process because of the flexibility that the attackers can use to change what they're doing. It does take a bit of critical analysis to be able to come up with these. I guess the transition. There's 2 transitions that are difficult and kind of hard to mark down in terms of requirements for, say, a system or a process, and that's kind of turning atomic indicators, tracking that back into working out the TTP that was used that generated that, and then you as a defender in the context of your environment working out how you're going to detect that. And the reason why I think we get it wrong is because that second bit, the implementation, too often we just cut out the context and say we focus on the bit that we can action. And so yeah, that's why I don't think we see any formal requirements around threat hunting. Also, it's like I said before with the marketing, absolutely smashing the definition of threat hunting, and still to this day I can't find a proper definition. It's just someone's 2 cents. That also makes it difficult to kind of mandate or recommend activities like this.
Yeah, I have a question. When you try to map the indicator, when you're working with the Mr. framework and trying to map the indicator with a kind of specific signature. Do you try to kind of use it against different products? For example, you want to see if it is in the endpoint product or it is in the network, Palo Alto firewall or Zeek or network. Or are you just limited to particular types of product that you're looking to collect from, or like Windows?
Yeah, so that's why we gone back. We, like I said here, this one here, we don't focus on any limitations. All right. So in my previous role, so it was when I was working for the Air Force, right? The way that our capability was designed is we had people that focused on network and we had people that focused on endpoints, so host-based detections. Okay. The reason why we did that is every single TTP we would look at from both of those aspects. Does this generate network artifacts? Does this generate host-based artifacts? Okay. Now, even though those in a lot of cases, the network artifacts were not the best way to detect that TTP, you can still, combining lots of low confidence indicators, all right, but seeing them all at once converts it to a higher confidence indicator. Okay. So on your question, you should always be looking at this step here, right? Developing these TTP indicator lists outside of what's available to you in your environment. Right? This is really you can take that too far and you need to work out, when you're going too deep on that. But you should always be thinking about how could I better detect this? And we ignore what we have until the next step, okay, which is developing this implementation plan. So to answer your question, for this step here, you're right. We don't focus on just the tools that we have. We don't just focus on endpoints and we don't just focus on network. We try to look at everything. In this step here, this is where you say, all right, that's really great. Technically, and you go through your list and you say, how could I do this? And this is where the art of it comes in, that people talk about, the art of defense, right? This is where we need to be looking at creative ways where we can detect with what we have. All right, this is where we focus on the tools that we have available to us. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, great, thanks.
All right, anyone with any more?
You guys are quiet.
They're processing all this stuff.
No, and this is the reason why I wanted to Mark present this, because I know the job that he does for the team, and I think it's one of those important aspects when you're either you're setting up a security program, a security operations center. Those are the type of things you have to take in consideration, right? And also, as he described, threat hunting, there is a marketing side of, there's a definition per marketing, what it is versus what it actually is. And, and sometimes, like he said, the bosses will not pitch in, will not give enough money to form a team to do this kind of stuff. But it is very important, because that's how you defend, that's how you win. Otherwise, you're not. So yeah. Anybody else has any other questions?
Hey, Marco, I just want to jump in on that one, because there's a good point to be taken from that. If your boss doesn't let you do threat hunting, that's okay. You can stop here. Right, but every time we're reading a blog, every time you're sitting through someone's technical presentation about a new, an intrusion analysis, a new threat, you're on Twitter, you're seeing a new set of IPs, okay? Try to understand how those IPs were generated, right? We see constantly, like, Quackbot's been around since 2007, right? And it's just recently hit a resurgence, for example. It's because it's so resilient when it comes to changing its atomic indicators. All right, but if we can look at the TTPs or the features of that tool and what the indicators might look like, and we can still develop the detections that were effective in 2008 are still effective today if we look at it from that particular level, right? So if you're reading anything, kind of mentally try to go through this process of, all right, what are the indicators here? Okay, regardless of how I would detect them. And this is super useful when you read something like, I work for Fortinet, right? I'll be reading Cisco blogs, you know, I'll be reading, you know, CrowdStrike blogs, SentinelOne blogs, all that type of stuff. Now they all present their indicators, because we kind of have to as vendors, in the context of this bit. What we need to be doing is trying to reverse those, go hold up, go back, read through the article, go back to here, and then make the jump into our context. All right, so the value of the threat hunting process, in my opinion, is less here, as strange as that sounds, but it's more in this planning process, because this is the bit that'll let us fast track indicators through that cycle. All right, so if your boss doesn't let you do it, or it doesn't let you dedicate time to threat hunting, at least you can go through this bit and you will identify deficiencies in your ability to detect at this stage here. All right, so you can use that to ask for more resources. You can say practically these threats. So you can, you know, back when we talk about relevant threats, you can say, or you work for a bank. We've experienced a significant uptick in the last 6 months of banks being targeted by this particular actor. We are unable to detect these TTPs, which are employed by this actor, because we don't have the resources, because my system can't see that, because the license that we purchased doesn't let us, you know, dive deep enough to find the atomic indicators. They're the type, you can use this process to, you know, justify those purchases.
Yeah.
All right.
I have one more question. Apologies,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you covered it earlier. So when you run the threat hunting, you know, like, again, if you have a large amount of data, you know, you're going to be limited with the platform you're using for running the searches or the queries. So just trying to have an effective threat hunting, like what, you know, goes like 6 months, go back to search for it, or 3 months. I'm just curious what would be a good way to approach it, or just narrow it to a specific few weeks or days. What do you think it is?
Yeah, so I think it really depends. Now, like in this slide here, you can see different outcomes define different approaches. So when we're a threat hunt, right, is a discrete activity. All right, so what you need to be kind of working out there is, what am I trying to find? And if you produce that idea and then you go into this planning process with that, that will answer that question for you. So let's say that you read an article that says that, let's take proxy shell, for example. Starting on August 25th, pretty much after Orange introduced his proof of concept code, a couple of days after that, stuff started just absolutely lighting up. So what you might do from a threat hunting perspective is you might say, we have an Exchange server. These threat actors have been known to be actively exploiting proxy shell. I'm going to look for evidence from the 25th to now, indicative of a proxy shell initiated intrusion. And that would be your threat hunt. All right, so that's the discrete outcome for that activity. All right, so when you determine how far you go back, that should be based on what your outcome is. So if your outcome is you're hunting for previous activity associated with this particular actor, I mean, you look back through as much data as you can. But also, when we look back to, oh wait, scroll through, that'll take way too long. When we look back at, you know, the kill chain here, when we do our threat hunt planning, we should be looking at mapping those TTPs to each of these steps. Now you can choose to prioritize your threat hunting, and it might be a discrete activity that goes for 6 months. Right? You might do one threat hunt that lasts 6 months. First, you might focus on TTPs here or actions on target here to work out if you've been popped previously, and then you might work backwards, all right? Often we find it's best not to move forward from my experience, because if you're stuck here looking at, delivery or exploitation and they're already in your network, right? You probably want to be mitigating that before we start trying to backtrack and find indicators associated here. All right, so your question was, how do we determine the start or end?
Yeah.
You determine it at the start and you define your activity.
Oh, great. Thanks. That was very helpful. Thank you.
All right, any more? I got plenty of time, guys. So,
Yeah, those are great questions, and definitely great answers. So thank you so much. Any other questions, guys? I know, sometimes you guys are shy, so just keep them coming. Otherwise, we have to pass on to Ervin, and you know how that goes.
Oh, dang.
so
I mean,
like-
you're not wrong.
So how we practically apply this with the 40 MDR team, it's something that we're trying to build into our service more at the moment. But what we do is we determine the relevant threats for a customer, like I said, based on their size, their geopolitical region, as well as their industry, and work out what actors are targeting them. And then we can take a look at their infrastructure, and if, let's say, they're running an exchange, they're running a bunch of web servers, we can look at current campaigns that are targeting that. And then we produce one big prioritized threat list. And then based on that threat list, we have a standing set of threat hunt, we call them threat hunt cards, which are pre-planned for each of the TTPs that will be employed by each actor. As a new TTP comes out, so new emerging threats, we develop another threat hunt card that allows us to look for those evidence of those TTPs. For each customer, we get in that relevant threat list, that prioritized threat list, and then we take that and then we get our huge database of indicators, and we chuck all that into it, and we take all of the relevant TTPs, put it in a big list, and then through our internal systems, we have that mapped directly to threat hunt queries, right? That would allow us to detect those particular TTPs. We put those in a customer's environment, we tune them, and then they're set up to detect. All right. If they ask us to do discovery, then we do discovery and we look for historical activity. But a lot of our stuff is all about preparing an environment for that detection piece. So that's how we get after it. Now we're lucky, well, lucky and not lucky at the same time, I guess, is that we are restricted to the tool, which is in our instance 40 EDR. You guys, like, it's good to have bumpers, but it's also frustrating sometimes when we don't have the ability to detect a particular TTP. Now, we always have full kill chain coverage, but often one small piece of the TTP, one small slice, we can't get. You guys in customer environments where you've got access to network, you've got access to multiple, data sources, you guys are really in the best position compared to us to be able to make sure that you can tick off every TTP. All righty, that's all I got, gents.
Well, again, thank you so much, Mark, for taking time out of your busy, it's your Sunday. I mean, obviously it's the weekend for you and you're already on Sunday, so you're ahead of us. So want to really thank you for taking time and do it. If they have any other questions, do you have, by the way, do you have your contact at the end or no?
No, but I can put it in the chat, or I can just send it through to you. I can make the slides available as well.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be great. Yeah, thank you. Because sometimes people ask for that. Yeah. You can send me your contact on the chat, or if you want to modify the slides before you send it to me, it will be in the slides.
Yep. If anyone in the chat, if any of you guys got any more questions, feel free to reach out to me. I mean, my contact details will be in the slides. shoot me through a message. I love talking about this stuff. If you think that there's some errors in the process, if you've got something to contribute there, I'm all ears. We're all trying to help each other out here. So yeah, reach out and touch base.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So today we have a second presentation. Mark, I mean, you're obviously more than welcome to stay in and watch the other presentation. Otherwise, enjoy your Sunday, man. I mean, you're definitely ahead of us, and tomorrow you're gonna be working while we're gonna be sleeping, and but anyways, definitely enjoy your weekend. But again, you're more than welcome to stay. So
yeah, I might head off. Thanks for the invite. Are you guys recording the rest of it?
we are, yes, and it's
Yeah.
We're gonna publish it, so it's gonna be available in our YouTube page.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. I'll check that up on later. Nice to meet all you guys. I'll see you around.
Thank you. All right,
Thank
so our next presentation will be Irving presenting on Discord security and other stuff. So the main reason why we decided to do this is because oh, look, there's a shark. It's because Rod, he's very against Discord and he doesn't like it. So the purpose of this presentation is to make Rod like Discord. So
That's the whole purpose why we're gonna spend the next hour.
Yep. So we're gonna. The mission is to convince Rod that Discord it's working better than Slack, and we just try to move away from Slack to Discord and stuff like that. So
Yep.
anyways, with that, the floor is yours, man.
Thank
I
you.
think Rod has to make you a presenter, I believe.
Go ahead and make me a presenter, actually.
Yeah, you can make Braulio the presenter.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
awesome, thank you.
So while Braulio gets ready, hey everybody, my name's Irvin. I'm on the board at Pacific Hackers, and I create cyber competitions for the Bay Area, California, and Florida. As Marco said, we're gonna do a presentation on Discord security. We actually do this as part of the summer camp training every year. So it was in our wheelhouse to share some of the things that we do to the servers that we run and share with you guys. Braulio has put together a presentation. He is part of the team who runs the summer camps and the cyber competitions, along with Karen, who's here as well. So feel free to ask us any questions in the chat. I will turn off my camera and mic and let Braulio take over.
All right. Yeah, originally, I actually worked on this with Max, who's also on the team, but he had some personal reasons he couldn't come. But this is dedicated to Max, I guess, since he couldn't be here, unfortunately. All right. Go ahead and share my browser. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we got some context onto why this is this presentation is a thing, have some doubters, I guess, for Discord. And don't get me wrong, I think Discord and Slack both have their pros and cons, but I'm gotta get into Discord and everything about it. Basically, can you guys see my browser here? That good?
Yep.
All right. Cool. All right. So first thing I'm gonna do, well, in order to get started, we're gonna need a Discord account. So I advise, if you want to follow along, I advise you make a Discord account, and you could actually replicate a lot of the things I'll end up doing. It's not going to be anything that can't be replicated on your own computer account. I'm sure a lot of you at least have a Discord account. Maybe you don't use it, but yeah. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is add Irvin as a friend. So when we start off on Discord, one of the few concerns I found just about Discord in general, really like the confusion with the interface. So over here, I'm just going to start off with some basics of like Discord and its layout. Over here, you see there's like a thin line separating the Discord icon, and then here you would have a list of servers. And you're possibly part of a server. Here, I only have one server. I mean, this isn't my main account, but yeah. So yeah, below this line, you're gonna find your servers, and you could explore public servers and everything. You can create your own, and above it, you'll see your list of direct messages. So I haven't actually messaged Irvin at all. So just go ahead and wave hi, I guess. And yeah, I mean, you have a look. You wave hi as well. So yeah, so here are the friends. It shows you could add a friend, and each username it doesn't have to be unique. It just has a unique like 4 digits after that, like kind of identifies you. Yeah. So I think from here, when you want to start creating a server and really getting like a community together on Discord, originally this did start as like kind of like just a gaming platform for people to communicate on, but yeah, I mean, like there's really like you could see just by the templates, it's really branched out into something else, and by clicking here on this plus sign, you can see, you could create your own server, no requirements. You could just go ahead and start off. And there's the templates, or you can start from scratch. But for me, I'm just going to go ahead and display the local community template. I'd say it's sort of relevant. Let's say for a club or community, and when you start making a Discord server, you can put a picture. There's a lot of ways to really customize it. But I'm just going to leave it like this, just a blank server for now. When you start off, especially if you have a completely new account, you'll get a lot of bubbles like this that will like show you different features. Right here, it's just mentioning a new feature, scheduled events. We're gonna go ahead and dismiss that for now. This is like a paid service, so I'm gonna just dismiss that for now. So with when you create a server with a template, you have a list. It actually gives you like pre-made text channels and voice channels. And as you can see here, each text channel, so there's the sidebar with the list of your servers. And right now I'm in my own. And I could bounce between them just with a click. But these text channels are separated by the different sections. So it's like a drop down. And you could actually, some people may have different access to different text channels, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Really, when you start off with the Discord server like this, you will have like, you could consider this. I mean, it gives you a basic template, and it's actually really useful because it gives you kind of like a welcome mat for people. So like, let's say I would just say welcome to my server. I don't know. You could just have a message like that just to start off, and really, a lot of the times, some servers will only show you this. And I'll show you how to actually make it so they can't see anything until whatever you ask from them, basically. So first thing I'm going to do is actually invite Irvin to the Discord server. And so in order to invite people, it gives you an indicator right here. You click here, you click invite, but you can also actually, you can create an invite link. And right now it's hidden because I'm on streamer mode. But typically an invite link will you can edit how long it works for. So your server could have just one invite link that is just the only one and it's shared amongst everyone, or you could have one. Let's say you don't want certain people joining after a certain date, or you don't want to random people joining. I mean, you can make it expire in 30 minutes if you want or something. And you could also have like how many people can actually click on this link and join your server. And really, this is good in case you don't want like completely random people just being able to join, or someone just making, inviting people that you don't want on your server perhaps. But and there's the temporary membership as well. But yeah, you can also just do the shortcut with your friends. And yeah, so we have Irvin here. And the first thing I wanted to get into was just basic moderation on a Discord server. if you were to have one like with your friends and stuff, you know, maybe like it's a little more loose on moderation. But if you're gonna have a community Discord server or something where you want it to be kind of like on a bit larger scale, let's say more than like 10 people or something, and it's like you want it to be a little more clean, I guess you can say, in terms of just the layout and everything and pardon me, rules. The first thing you have to start doing is really you want to check out the roles. The first thing you want to do is you want to create an admin role. So just go ahead and you click through the roles, just name it admin. You know, change the color. You can make it something like I don't know, like an aggressive red or something, whatever. You can make it purple, pink, doesn't matter. It's really customizable, like I mentioned earlier. I think a really neat thing is you can separate the list of roles for different members. Oh, you go ahead and save changes before you do anything. But yeah, you can. There's a list over here on the right side. It says online. See, I haven't assigned any roles, so it just shows 2 people online, but it'll separate once I assign the roles. So you go to roles, and to really get your admin role going, you want to go ahead and start off with the permissions. So really for admins, I mean, look, you are the owner, but if you want an admin, you know, aside from yourself, of course, you would want them to have pretty much every single permission. You know, it varies, of course. Maybe you want to be like you want to have like the most permissions out of everyone, or maybe you want someone to be on equal footing. But yeah, I mean, you could just go ahead and check through these. Really, the permissions for roles are pretty straightforward. I mean, there's a lot of things like managing roles, manage channels, view channels. It lets you view everything. You know, some channels may be hidden, but if you have view channels on your role, then they'll be able to view the channels as soon as they join. But if you don't want that to happen, there's actually a way to you can turn it off. But we're gonna keep it on since it's for the admin, obviously. View audit logs. Audit logs can be important. You know, if you have any problems on the server, and you want to, you know, look at the audit logs for them. It's like a record of. It says right here, allows members to view a record of who made which changes in the server. So let's say you have some admins and someone did something wrong or made a mistake and no one's, I don't know, you want to figure out who did it. There's the audit log. Here allows manage servers, create invites. So, you know, you can, if you have like another role, which is just for like a regular member of the Discord server, sometimes you'll be in a Discord server where you can't create an invite. Once you're in. So like this actually, if you disable this for someone, we're going to keep it on for admins, but if you disable it, you know, it's like, so they can't just invite whoever they want into the Discord server. But if you want them to do that, then go ahead. Change nicknames, kick members, ban members. That's pretty self-explanatory for an admin role. You know, send messages, everything's checked off really. Manage messages, manage threads. So you can have like threads within Discord servers that actually, you know, you could have like a topic kind of like off to not necessarily off to the side, but just have its own section so that it doesn't flood a text channel, which is pretty convenient actually. Just text to speech messages. You know, typically people don't like that on the server, so I'm just gonna keep it. I'll keep it on, but you know, for regular thing, generally they don't have that on. Priority speaking, this, you know, it's just so you like can, if you're a little louder than other people. I don't really like that. It's not really a convenient thing, I don't think. Unless you're like presenting within the Discord server, then of course, you know, it'd be pretty decent if you had like a presenter role, which you can add. Just an example. To mute, deafen, move members, management. So yeah, I showed you all the permissions. But really for the admin role, there's the advanced permission of just making them an administrator. And you know, you got to be careful with making people administrators, of course. Like obviously, you know, as Discord is telling you right here in bold, this is a dangerous permission to grant. Of course it is, because you know they have complete control. It's like they're an owner of the server as well. At this point when you turn it on. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on for here. And yeah, go ahead and add myself as an admin member. sorry, Irvin, you're not an admin in this server. But and from here, you do want to create a role for like people who just join. Really, the at everyone is for like people who join. It's the default role, the default permissions for people who just joined. And so, for now, something I want to cover really is the mentions. So typically, if you yeah, everyone's just sending gifs. Can't wait to see them. But typically, when you mention someone at everyone, it mentions the whole server, so they all get a notification, or they all most likely will get a notification. At here is everyone on the server, right? Then in that channel, and then all roles will just that's everyone. You want to disable this typically. It's really it can be I guess you can call it annoying, but you know here Urban is at everyone. The reason being is because if you have a larger server and people don't really know like what is acceptable for like adding everyone, what's worthy of adding the entire server for what you're going to say, you can't add everyone and say hi, and that tends to be a problem on Discord servers or any sort of server like this. So yeah, like right here, I'm getting at everyone hi from Irvin, and so
I don't think we can see that.
oh, actually, I think I'm gonna go ahead and share my whole screen. Sorry, my apologies. This should be good. Can everyone see my whole screen now? Go ahead and send a message, Urban, again. Add everyone hi. Should be able to see it now. Right here I have the app, but you don't have to download the app if you don't want it. You could actually just use Discord completely just through the browser like I'm doing here. I also have it over here. But yeah,
Right now, I still see your role, the role page.
you see the role page. Can you see the taskbar?
Yeah. I
Oh,
can't
but
see
you can't see what?
the server.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the server's right here. So yeah,
There you go.
you don't want this happening right here. Really, it's like an inconvenience, I guess, because typically at everyone's and all that are used for like more important information, but you could put it in announcements or resources, whatever you really want like that. Yeah, you see these type of messages, these two I mean right here, not really convenient.
Discord is also somewhat smart in that it's maybe seeing he's trying to present and trying to hide some notifications and such. Like
Yeah.
the copy link was hidden. So that's not guaranteed to happen, but something you should be aware can happen. It's trying to protect him in case he was streaming to Twitch or something.
Yeah, really, you can actually enable that yourself. It's called streamer mode, and it does that. It disables that. It also disables notifications from other servers that you're not currently looking at, I believe. You could do that in your settings, your user settings. It's its own little thing right there. And you see streamer mode is enabled, so you can't see my account information. If you go to your own settings, you will be able to see your account information, your user profile, your privacy and safety, everything like that. And I'll go over like user privacy and security later on. But for now, really just like the basics of covering of moderating the server. So I already showed you the roles. We created the admin role, and so what you can do is create another role for the people who just joined, and let's just call this I don't know. I guess you can call it, or Max, when he was when we were going through this, he called them schmucks. You probably shouldn't do this. This is kind of mean, but just for the sake of the presentation and respect to Max who couldn't make it, I'll go ahead and put it like that as well. And you can go through permissions. This is just going to be the default role for Discord. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to disable view channels in a bit, but for now I'll leave it like this. And I'm going to go ahead and add Irvin. He is now schmuck and a role. Now he has a role, I mean. it should, I could actually enable his right here. So roles, schmucks, permissions, and wait, display. There you go. Display it separately. And there you go. Now you have it split off on the side. It's very organized, very neatly. When you have the crown next to your name, that just means you're the server owner. Yeah. And now to go more into the moderation, really from here, there is like obviously the moderation tab, and I'll actually disable streamer mode just for this. Not that I'm just go ahead and disable it right here because I have to show you the moderation tab for the server. So you go to moderation, and there's verification levels actually. So if you created an account for this, maybe some of you did, it asks you to verify your email address. And on servers, the reason it's important to verify your email address on Discord is because on some servers you won't be able to join if your email address isn't verified. That's a, you know, if you can't verify your email address, you know, there's going to be a lot of servers you won't be able to join, and that's just the lowest moderation verification level. These are built in to the Discord servers. Low, must have a verified email on their account. Medium is must also be registered on Discord for longer than 5 minutes. So no one can just create an account and just I don't know, bombard your Discord server with messages like right away at least. High, you know, you have to be a member for more than 10 minutes. And then highest is actually you must have a verified phone number on the Discord account. So you need to have two-factor enabled, which is a feature on Discord as well, which I will cover later. But for now, I'll keep it on none. It's the media content filter. This is just really, you can, it's like if you're on a public server, you can make it so it scans media for members without a role. But we're just going to keep that off as well for now. So now that we have covered that, I can go ahead and cover just kicks and bans. So it's very simple. I'm sure all of you understand how kicking someone and banning someone works on a Discord, well, just in general. But the concept of banning someone is they're by account and by IP, but you don't have to ban someone. Let's say I don't like what Irvin's sending. Really, you go to the user and you right click them, and you have two options to either kick or ban them. So yeah, you keep sending messages, I really don't like them, or he's sending something inappropriate, you have the options to kick or ban them. And if you ban or kick them, they will show up in this list right here. Right now I have no bans. I'm not going to ban Irvin, but maybe I'll ban him later, but not right now. And so really, when you kick someone, it actually they can join back. I mean, obviously, it all depends on your invite links, which I have right here, the ones that I sent to Irvin. I can actually make the invite link invalid. If I just click it here, he won't be able to send it to anyone else. He won't be able to click it again to join again. So just so you know, your invite links, you can manage them. Nope. Just so you know, people don't, you know, join when you don't want them to. And it tells you how many uses there are too. Yeah. And now I think I'm going to get into the more, I guess, the details of like moderating a server. Really, they are the built-in functions that I highlighted for the Discord server settings, but there's also Discord bots that can help you make moderating a server like very easy. So there's a lot of them. People prefer different ones, but I'm going to go ahead and cover Dino. So Dino, it's a moderation bot. It just helps you moderate and give you, it has like more in-depth settings for how you can manage your your server, and you can also, you know, have an auto mod, which I'm going to cover right now. But in order to get a Discord bot, Dino specifically on your server, the first thing you want to do is actually log in with Discord when you're at the page. And so when you do that, logging into Discord, I believe it uses OAuth to log in with your Discord account, just like you would log in, you know, when something asks you to log in with a Google account or like a Facebook account sometimes. But you can log in with Discord if you don't want to put in your information and stuff like that. Here you have to log into Discord, and it tells you what it has access to. Dino is a very reputable and trustworthy bot, so you don't have to worry about anything with it. But you do have to be careful with some bots, like especially some more obscure or less used bots. You have to be careful with what you're dealing with. But this is really like information that just anyone, like any friends, can really see. It's not anything crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and authorize it. And now that I authorized it, I can add it to one of the servers. So I'm not gonna add it to this one. I'm gonna add it to the one that I just created. And I'm gonna go ahead and click on it. And so when I click on it, it'll tell me what it's gonna be doing in the server. It's gonna be creating commands in a server. So let's just go ahead and continue. And these are the actual permissions you're granting it. So again, be careful with what you're adding to your server. Dino is a verified bot. So it's verified by Discord. It's completely safe. I recommend it personally. It's a great bot that can help you keep a server organized and, you know, clean. Yeah, just go ahead and keep all the permissions, and you go ahead and authorize it. I am a human, so okay, this is, shouldn't have done that to me, but let me look for some trains real quick. Let me know if I miss one. Is this a train, or is that like a house? Oh well, I think I'm good. Train, 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 train. Okay. All right, I'm good. I found all the trains. When you first get started on Dino, it's going to ask you for like what prefix you want to use in your commands. So when you're on a Discord server, a prefix for the commands would be question mark by default. And so I'm just going to leave it how it is. Choosing your time zone. You don't have to choose your time zone, but I'll show you how the commands work right now. This is the updates channel. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and you could create a channel that could be like for updates, or if you use the template like I did, you can actually I would just click announcements for now as your updates channel. And we do not want to pay $5. So yeah, let's get started with the auto mod. There are different like things that Dino can do. There's many things Dino can do, but I feel like its real strength is in its auto mod, and you can just go ahead and enable it by switching this on. You want to go to the settings, and really, auto mod is just it can help you. You know, like if people, you don't want people speaking a certain way, using like, you know, any sort of bad words in your Discord server, or you want to ban some words or some terms, anything, which I recommend. Yeah, it gives you like different things you can ban as well. So these are the filters for the auto mod. Banned words are right here. All caps. If you don't want people talking in all caps, you can enable that. Duplicate text, fast message spam. So if I enable that, Urban won't be able to send messages as fast as he is, but I'm going to leave it like that for now. You could also, if someone sends a Discord invite within the server, you could disable that as well. You can make it so that it gets deleted. You don't want people shilling their servers on your Discord. Go ahead and make the auto mod delete those. Mass mentions gets rid of at everyone and stuff like that. Emoji spam, you know, everything you see here. The banned words, really, it's just like it's like slurs or everything. But you could these are like the default ones, but you could add your own if you won't want. Like, let's say I don't want people saying something like, I don't know, like, what if I don't want people saying that? It doesn't have to be necessarily bad words or slurs. If I don't want people saying my name, I could just, you know, put my name, and I don't want you to say my name on the server. It's banned. I'm not going to do that, but really it's up to you with this. It's there's a lot you can do with the auto mod. And yeah, there's other things that I wanted to highlight. for Dino. So give me 1 second here. Need to set something up. So when you have Dino on your server, it's going to show up as a bot right here on the side. I already added it. If you click on it, it'll give you a little more information. You know, it has a little about me, the Discord bot to make server management and moderation easy. Follow your favorite streamers, run giveaways, and more. Sure. So for the command prefix, it's a question mark. So you do a question mark, and let's say I want help. If I type question mark help in the Discord text channel, it could be any of them. I'll get a DM from Dino. Dino is the bot. It's DMing me with more information if I need any help. It has guides, commands list, Dino status, add Dino to my server, which I already did. Yeah. So for Dino, you wanna, it makes its own role, but you wanna make sure Dino is above the role, the like bottom role, basically the schmucks. Or when it comes to roles, it's actually really if a role is below another role, it can't edit anything about that role. So it's like a hierarchy, really. It's just top to bottom, who has the most permissions, or who can, not really who has the most permissions, but who can interact with others. And here is probably how you want to have your moderation role set up. But you could also have it like this if you want. It's not a big deal. Yeah, and so for here, I'm gonna go ahead and check out the modules. I already enabled the auto mod, so everything that needs to be banned is banned. What I can do also is actually where the filter options. Actually, you know, there are other things. I think I'll go ahead and actually enable the action log, which is what I mentioned earlier through the announcements text channel. I could just go ahead and select the announcements, and I don't know, it's any logs when someone joins or when someone leaves or when someone gets banned, it'll be reported here. So when I have this enabled, it should be all good. And you know, Dino isn't the only moderation bot. There's like Me6 and security bot. Me6 is really more like, you can tell just by the website. It's a lot more gaming oriented, and there's like interactions with Twitch, but really they share a lot of characteristics. It really just comes down to how you want it. I think Dino is a lot more well-rounded, but they share like pretty much 90% of the features, I guess. Maybe like that's an exaggeration, but yeah, this is more for like gaming. So if you want to have like a server with your friends just for like games, this is perfect. There's also security bot, which is actually a lot more, it leans more towards just keeping spammers off your server and keeping any sort of like just risk on your server out. Any sort of like, you could get your server nuked by like, you know, a huge spam of messages. And the security bot, all these bots can actually deal with it, but security bot is actually like focused on strictly that, just managing your server, and right here it says anti-nuke capabilities. So, you know, yeah, I recommend all of these. These are all great bots. It really just comes down to what you want to get out of them. Yeah, so I think really Dino, like I said, it is the more well-rounded one, and you know, in the dashboard, I think it's very, it just shows me everything. If you want to moderate your server, you can just moderate it briefly with the Discord open and the dashboard open. And it'll show you what everyone has been doing while editing the server. If you have other people with admin permissions, you know, stuff like that. So I believe that when you make a Discord server, you need to make sure that the people joining are people and not bots that would, you know, cause some sort of problems in your server. I think that you should add almost every single time, add some sort of verification for a server. So this is a bot that can actually, it's called yet another general purpose Discord bot. I'm not going to say all that. It's just yet another Discord bot, maybe. Yagapadaba, if you want to say that as well. This has a verification feature, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to the server as well, just to prevent, any bots from joining. And so I think, I need to, oh yeah, so I go ahead and click add to server. And it's the same process. It's just going to see, this is just for like myself, the access to my account. It's not anything huge. Go ahead and authorize it. And once I'm in, I can go to the top right over here. And I can, oh, it's right here, select server. And I can add this bot to my server right there. And once I do this, it has the same purpose as Dino, but we're going to do something a little different with this one. It's going to create commands in the server, sure. But, same things, like I said before, careful what you add, but this is another verified bot, very trustworthy. Go ahead and authorize it. I am a human. So you just go ahead and find all the trains again. That's a train. That's a fire truck. That's a trolley. Maybe that's a train too. A trolley train. No, okay, it worked out. So the bot has been added to my server, and I can see it right here. It just joined. And I'll go ahead and make sure that it has its proper role. So just go ahead and put it above Schmucks, and it doesn't have to be above admins, but it's not I don't think there's a big difference really. So to get started with your server and this bot, you want to go ahead and click up here and click your server. And then want to head over to the tools and utilities, and you want to go ahead and click verification, because that's what we're going to be using this bot for, verification. And before I use this, I actually wanted to use an example of the cyber competitions Discord server. Oh, what is all this? Oh, I opened a tab for the image. So I can actually join the cyber competitions Discord server, and I can go ahead and send you the link as well, the invite link. Ignore my purchases from some other day. When you first join this server, so you can tell that the moderation, it's making me wait 10 minutes. So this is it's above medium in terms of the moderation, the built-in moderation, but also I can't see any text channels aside from these three. So that's probably not right. I can see the rules, and I can see the events, and I can open up a ticket for support, but I can't see anything else. And the reason is because I haven't verified myself yet. So you get a DM from the bot, and it's asking you to solve a CAPTCHA. And are you a bot? I don't think I am, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And here for this server, they have rules and verifications. The rules that we just saw, and you got to read all those before you go in. You have to verify you're not a bot, and once you hit continue, you go back to the server, and you can see everything. So I can type, I can see the text channels that I'm allowed to see as a regular user. I can join the voice channel if I'd like, and yeah, that's a good example of this bot. So in order to integrate it into our server, we must head over to the control panel. Gotta close this. And you want to click this switch, save it. So the important thing is that the verified role is actually going to be the Schmucks. That just the default one, basically. The role that you want people to be when they first join the server. So yeah, for us, it's the Schmucks. That's who's going to be the initial verified user. Yeah, once you have it on and everything, and you go ahead and save it. Now, let's say I click on server, if I go ahead and here, sorry, I'm used to opening the application itself. Go ahead and click general, and I don't know. Let's say I guess I already gave an example of really how it works when you join a server and it doesn't let you see anything before you verify yourself. For the control panel, you already enabled the verification, so it's going to have the same like effect. The thing is, in order to make it so they can't see any text channels, you need to go to the server settings, and so this is the verified role, right? But when someone first joins, they don't have that role. So what you want to do is you want to go over to I believe it's the default permissions, and you want to make sure, if you want to, and what you want it to be like the server I just showed you, like where they can't see any text channels, you could just make at everyone, which is when they first join without verifying. That's where they're going to end up under those permissions. You could just click view channels. They can't see them anymore. And so if you want to go ahead and run through the verification yourself as well, I'll go ahead and create an invite link for you, and you can go ahead and try it out yourself. Urban already sent one, but if you haven't joined, or you could leave the server and you want to test it out and rejoin, there's an invite link. Yeah, so that's how you add the verification. Really, I think crucial part of moderating, especially a larger server. You see here, we have people saying no rules, no moderation. So you don't want people saying this, kick, ban, whatever you want to do. I just think it's very important to have something to verify your users, and also have an auto mod to really prevent spam, and also keep your server, from sending any sort of like malicious, I don't know, links, or you can also, like, any invite links to Discord servers you don't want people to join. Those might be malicious as well, not inherently by clicking on them, but who knows what they're sending in the other ones. Yeah. So after adding this, we can actually make it so when someone joins, obviously we saw the rules earlier, but you can also add something here yourself and have your own rules. So for me, it's just going to be nice. And like we saw earlier, there was the list of rules. For me, it's just going to say be nice. And that's my only rule on this server. So far, I think most people are being nice, but I don't know. I'll check it out later. That's how they ended up putting their rules in the verification page. They just put it under this verification content. It says right here, verified page content. So what we can do from here is show you how you can restrict access to certain channels, and certain categories of channels. So each text channel has like a little gear next to them, and each one has their own settings and permissions. Let's say I have an off topic and I want this to be strictly business for everyone except me and I don't know, the rest of the admins or something. I can get the off topic text channel and just edit the permissions, make it a private channel, and only the admin roles and I guess the bots can view that text channel. And if you're a part of this server right now, you'll be able to see that you can't see this text channel yourself if you're not an admin. So, if you want to hide any text channels, or, you can hide voice channels as well. Same settings, permissions. This could help out to really separate everything you want to have separated. You could have you can add new sections, or you can edit specific sections. Like, let's say I don't want people talking outside of a certain role. You can edit the category. Sorry, not sections, category. The drop downs. You can edit the categories and edit the permissions of everything under that as well. So if I wanted to make the voice channels private, it would be the same thing, make it private, but I'm gonna keep it open for everyone because I want people to speak in my server outside of the admins. So if anyone has rejoined, if anyone has joined the server, you would actually see something right here under the role. It says schmucks right now, but it would also say verified next to it because of the Discord bot already verified them, and that's a way to check, you know, like whether they're verified. I mean, they are verified if they're already in the server and they're schmucks, but that's just a neat little thing. And so the all these things and all these bots are really like more useful for like big community bots like this. I mean, like you see this, there's 152 people in this Discord server. So these are crucial for you to really have this server flowing well. Otherwise, almost guarantee that it could be a mess. Yeah, but if you're having just like a Discord server with friends, you don't really need these things. They can be convenient, of course, especially in larger groups of people. But it was just like a community Discord server or like some sort of topic, subject, anything you want. You know, there's Discord servers for everything, really. There's some for, you know, specific programming languages, specific jobs, and some specific types of, I don't know, food. Really, it's anything you can find. But I think a lot of the times, at least before, there was a problem with having a Discord account and managing your presence in each one. So let's say you have a Discord server that is more oriented for like maybe something a little more professional, or I don't know. And then you have another one that's like, let's say this one isn't something like that, with sending like sheep gifs and stuff. And that's like the whole purpose of it. Let's say that you can actually edit how you're viewed on this on this server by right-clicking the server and clicking Edit Server Profile. And so when you're on the server, yeah, they can click on your account, and eventually, you know, if your account allows it to, which you can switch off in your personal settings, they can see your actual username and everything. But if you edit your server profile, I'm gonna nickname myself Braulio here. I'm not gonna change my picture. Go ahead and save it. And now I'm Braulio under this. But if you could change your picture, and it really helps with, like, you know, if you don't want to be, I guess, identified in the same manner as you are identified in other Discord servers. That's a really convenient feature that has been added relatively recently. Yeah, I think another big part of this really I haven't covered is your personal security on Discord, and you're moderating, like, you know, what people can see on your Discord account. So if you go to the bottom left and find the gear, if you go to your account, I think the first thing you want to check out is your privacy and safety. Safe direct messages, automatically scan and delete direct messages, you know, explicit media content. There's server privacy defaults, allows direct messages from people in servers. If you don't want that, if you want messages from people in servers that you don't have added, you can switch that off. Allow access to NSFW servers on iOS. Yeah, you could have that offer on, whatever you would like. Who can add you as a friend? I don't want everyone adding me as a friend, maybe, so I could switch that off. Friends of friends is fine. Server members is fine. Rich presence. This one's a big one. If you are in a game, any sort of video game on that computer that you have that Discord server on, if you have this on, people can join your game through Discord without sending a request or anything. So typically people want to have this off, but some people don't. It really depends how you use your Discord account and where you use it. And same thing, like if you're in the same voice channel as someone else, they can join your game through Discord as well. But you can switch that off. And, you know, here it's for how Discord uses your data. If you don't want Discord using your data to improve Discord, or use data to customize your Discord experience, you can switch that off. You can also you could also request your data, get a copy of your personal data, which is could be something interesting for a lot of people. the big thing though really is enabling your two-factor authentication. I feel like that's very crucial to really having a secure Discord account, and I recommend everyone who creates a Discord account does that. Really, it's a very simple process. You type in your password, ask for like your authentication code. You know, use your authenticator app to have your codes ready for whenever you log in from a different device, or if you log in ever. And I recommend you do that. And you know, some Discord servers require you to have two-factor enabled, and you can do that for yours as well, like I demonstrated earlier. And this is it's a big thing, big requirement. A lot of people don't actually have theirs verified. I recommend you do. You know, the lowest one is that you have your verified email, but if you want them to have two-factor, and you know, make sure 100% that this account belongs to this person and is used in a trustworthy manner, I guess, or you just want them, maybe you just want your users to be secure users, you can have it on the highest moderation setting. And I'd advise to at least have it at medium, or at least low. Don't have it completely off, because that can lead to some problems. And like I said before, you know, especially in bigger servers. I believe that when you have all these things enabled, it really it can lead to a much better experience on Discord, because I mean, before, without taking these things into account, any like Discord bots, or you know, personal safety like that, and privacy, and you know, the connections and everything, it can be a bit, it's a completely different experience, really. There are authorized apps and connections. Authorized apps, I authorize the bots, you know, but also the connections, I think, is a big thing, because Discord is really convenient when it comes to these connections that I'm showing here. A lot of these things are like, if you use these things with Discord, it can be very convenient. You can use GitHub, Reddit, but maybe you don't want these things, you know, displayed on your Discord account, which I completely understand. Before Discord connects any of your accounts, it'll ask you if you want it connected. So connecting your Spotify, it'll ask you before. It'll show like a little bar at the top to see if you want to connect your Spotify account with your Discord, and people can see what you're listening to, or yeah, stuff like that. It works with all these applications, how they you know, respectively, how they function. They could function within Discord or interact in a certain manner. I personally don't like to connect my Discord with different applications. Can get a bit messy. I don't know, but yeah. I think overall, I think Discord really with all these moderation steps in mind, I think you can lead to a very good and secure experience. Only thing really is that there is no end-to-end encryption between messages, and I believe the biggest reason for that is, okay, it's a free service, so you know, maybe probably data is taken, but you know, you could turn it off obviously in the settings, I'll let you, but you know, it's still, there's still no end-to-end encryption. So the thing is, when you're DMing someone or anything like that, you can report specific messages. And this is I can't report the spot, but I'm not sure where I can find an example, but it allows you to report specific messages in different servers, or like directly to you. And I'm guessing that's like two conflicting things. Of course, I think end-to-end encryption would be honestly a great feature to add to Discord, but that's what it is missing. It's just, I believe it's just standard encryption for Discord. So yeah, that's I guess that's something you can differentiate it. You can compare with like Slack. I believe Slack may have end-to-end encryption. So I think what I'd like to do now is let's try to get, if you have a Discord account. We already have like 3 people on Discord, but I really encourage you to join this right now, because I want to exemplify really like um, the problems that you might run into if, let's say, you add a bot that doesn't end up being actually trustworthy. And so first, I'd like to thank Miguel Baez for letting us use the Discord bot that he created, which actually does something that I guess you could consider a bit malicious, but it's just a little demo example. It's not anything that we actually used or anything. So here I have the Discord bot link. And if I want to add it to a Discord server, let's say, look, this is just a bot demo. It seems innocent enough. It has a happy little bot in the picture, and I trust it, and it's recommended, and a couple people use it from the website that I'm looking at. But if I add it to my server, and if you have someone as an administrator on your server, and they add it to the server because they have the permission to do that, you really need to make sure who you check who you're giving administrative powers to, because let's say I'm not the server owner and I decide to add a bot, and it doesn't have to be on purpose, but you need to add people that you can trust, because it can lead to a lot of problems. It could completely lock you out of your own server. Okay, I can't find the trains apparently. Motor bus. 1 second. Can't tell what that is. Okay, that's good enough. I added a new bot to my Discord server, and it's called CoolBot. Innocent enough, not verified. Not all unverified Discord bots are malicious, but if someone is to add a bot to your server, they can really just, it really just takes one command to just lock everything out. So here I ran the bot, and it actually made it so it created a new text channel, and it locked out every single text channel and voice channel for anyone that's not an admin. And it could end up being a lot worse actually if the bot has permissions, or it's granted permissions above what you have. You can be locked out of your own server as well, and it completely takes over essentially. This is the only text channel you can type in now, which it's called Purgatory. So yeah, everything else, as you can see, it's locked out. So text is limited for everything. Can't access anything. Yeah, bots can be, used for malicious intent. So you really have to be careful with what you use. But generally, they're actually a great thing to add to your servers, and highly recommend that you use them. I think now maybe I'll take some questions. Anything that you want me to show or maybe describe for me and the people with me. Any thoughts on Discord, its UI interface, its settings, anything like that? Okay, well, I believe this really concludes our Discord presentation, Discord security presentation. I hope I helped some of you learn how to properly keep your Discord servers and accounts safe. And yeah, so let me know if you have any questions. I can go ahead and stop sharing my screen here.
Thank you very much for the presentation. That was pretty interesting, and I learned a lot from it. Is there anybody else that has a question? Let's see, there are some chats here. Nope. Okay, guys, so this was a great day, great content, great presentations. Hopefully we will have news for you soon about if we will be meeting in December or not in person. We will have a so far virtual meeting
on December 4th, if I'm not mistaken, and we had 2 great presentations. One of them will include, I haven't posted yet, there's a 0-day that one of our members actually found, reported it, and got a CVE. So that is a great presentation that I'm looking forward to see. Any questions, please join us at the Discord, and we'll be in touch. Thank you very much.